Chaotic, greetings to you. Have you ever watched the absolute classic 1966's How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
What a vile one, Mr. Grinch.
Well, I have, and I have a problem with it. And you see, we're gonna go old school with it. So we all know our favorite main character, the Grinch. This character does something that is so wildly impossible in actual natural Earth settings that it has bothered me since I watched this as a child. Because you see, my mother also sewed clothing, and I know for a fact that when the Grinch drags Max back into his lair, he walks past that curtain, which, like, objectively, in the cold north of the top of the mountain, should be something heavy, a velvet, or something along that lines that's a really good insulator. However, this character cuts out this coat and hat. Herein lies our problem, because you see, gravity says that's impossible. Those arm flaps will go and absolutely not look like that after cutting it out willy-nilly. That's problem number one. Gravity-defying fabric. Problem number two. We have our subject, the Grinch, arguably sewing his sleeve shut, but we're just going to ignore that. And in this picture on Max, you can tell it's quite large, much more human-sized. Well, Grinch-sized. And you can see here, now somehow the fabric has gotten all floppy again. It's wilted. How did it wilt? From this, did he wash it in that interim? I highly doubt that. The Grinch doesn't seem like the kind of character that would wash their clothes. And now, from here, what we see next, the next time we see that jacket is, well, arguably when he's sewing in a sewing machine that somehow sews left to right, which absolutely is not a way any machine ever sews. But we're going to ignore all that because we're just focusing on the stuff that I can actually control, vaguely, which is how the heck does he get it to suddenly fit this well? This coat suddenly turns into a form-fitting coat out of this god-awful cut and that god-awful stitching. Somehow the Grinch manages to make a perfectly fitted jacket for himself, which is, But wait, we're not done with my issues, because there's a third issue. Not only do we have gravity-defying fabric suddenly turned into skin-tight, well-fit garment, but then you have this. Max, who is the wonderful compatriot, decides to help him get fluff for his Sandy Claus hat. And he pulls it out of a pillow, which means that this is loose fiberfill, loose cotton batting. This does not, arguably, stick together well. But then in the very next moment, once we see the cotton batting transfer from Max to the Grinch, it suddenly turns into this lovely, nicely aligned cotton batting on the bottom of his hat that somehow magically isn't like falling from the ground like snow while he's sewing it. And then we go through the rest of the show with somehow that cotton batting never falling off, not nary one time. And it all ties back to that character right there and the absolute craziness that is this Santa Claus making scene. However, I am very clear that this is a cartoon, but I am absolutely going to test every single one of these theories today. Is this actually going to work? I have no idea. And here are the fabrics that we're using. So first up, we have just regular, unaltered fabrics, most of which are from R.I.P. Joann's. I'm so sorry I won't be able to link any of these for you. And the first option is a sparkle felt. I don't recall buying the sparkle felt. I thought it was just felt. It's a very thick felt, which is why I bought this one. But this is option number one, sparkle felt. Next option is a slightly stiffer wool poly blended felt that I think I picked up in Oregon many, many moons ago. And next up, personally, is what I think the fabric that would be hanging from his hooks would most likely be to vaguely keep him warm. A velvet. And last but not least, how are we going to get that fit? That very well form-fitted, looks like it moves with them really well fit. I decided to go with this, which is a stretchy velveteen fabric. But now that we know the baselines, I want to talk about how I plan on stiffening these, because there are two ways in which that are easily attainable and I have it on hand so I don't have to worry about it. The first up is to spray starch everything, which I know you all kind of had some thoughts about that in the feelings of my pumpkin video. However, if we're going for stiffness, I feel like this might give us the best chance. So, going from least effective to most effective. The first losers were the velvet. Yes, there's 3 of them, because I melted one. Not only was there weird pooling when I sprayed the back side of one, but the spraying of the front side made the fabric feel like touching tiny bits of dull glass. The stretch wasn't any better. Spray starch, stretch velveteen, also out. The winners of this category were the felts, sparkle, and then wool blend. So this will be the top contender on our large scale test. And then I did read the comments of my pumpkin video and saw where all of you suggested interfacing. So I did some of those too. The interfacing had almost the exact same winning spread as the spray starch, with the stretch velveteen being the absolute worst. Like, this is still just as flopsy. And because it is on interfacing that is not a knit interfacing, all the stretch is gone. And the best being the felts. However, both of these are more wiggly than their spray starched companions. But now let's take a break with the sponsor of today's video, Fanttik. Fanttik has been a sponsor on this channel before, but in case you haven't heard of them, the Fanttik C8 Nano electric scissors are absolutely a key part of my daily life. Because you see, I typically use these very fancy cardboard backing stiffeners whenever I sell any vintage pattern. However, sometimes I'm not the best at ordering them on time, so I do absolutely use my Fanttik to cut down my cardboard to make sure that my patterns arrive safely to you. With 230 RPM, this thing will literally peel through cardboard. And a great part about this is that when you have run it down from using it a whole lot, it has a fast charging time with a large screen on the back so you can see exactly what percentage your cutter is at. And if you're like me and an old theater person and you like to cut things in the dark, it actually has a little light for that too. And with its easy change blades, you will always be able to keep your blade fresh and sharp for your next cutting adventure. So if you want to pick up one of the C8 Nano electric scissors, Fanttik is running a big holiday sale. So make sure you're clicking the link down below in my description and using my code StephC8N at checkout so that way you can save a total of 43% off on your purchase. And thank you to Fanttik for sponsoring today's video, but now let's head back to the project. Welcome to the time in which we cut it out in my child's bathroom because it's the only place that had a crossbar that I could attach these stupid clamps to. I have spray starched this 3 times and let it dry and ironed it on arguably too hot of a setting to hopefully attempt to melt it a little. I don't actually think I melted it any, but I'm gonna go be the Grinch and go on the other side and we'll see if this thing holds up. Yeah, he also stabbed his through. That's not how mine works. Oh no, she already very wiggly. I don't see this going well. Oh. Standing up, she is not. Here, let's just prove it to you by doing the sleeve here. So this is the part that was supposed to stand on its own. Well, I think we just definitively proved that even the stiffest material, still with the amount of surface area it was required to hold up, was never gonna function. So I'm just gonna finish cutting out this side. Although I am seeing standing up cutting why his cuts might have been a little off. It's just like glomping over the side there. Yeah, no, that didn't work. I think I might give this one more go because, you know, you do need two sides of this thing. I think I might do the spray starch plus the interfacing. But let me go do that real fast and I'll see you. And the second attempt went just as well as the first one. Because you see, what I had unintentionally done here is by adding interfacing to it, it didn't actually really stiffen it more. Oh yeah, and I cut my hair off. As so much as it just added more weight to the overall fabric. Well, that certainly didn't work now, did it? Because despite my best efforts, both varieties of this absolutely went with gravity, which I sort of figured. But wait, don't you click away yet. I'm still gonna make this thing at the end of the video so you can see just how ridiculous this thing looks. But right now we have the fluff problem, where I need to test out if I can actually pull filling out of a pillow and or other substance and attach it to a hat with nary but a piece of thread. Now, the one thing I will say is that in the mid-1960s, and this was launched in 1966, pillows had begun a-changin' to the thing that we usually find, which is polyester filling. Now, is it going to be exactly the same that we have now? No. Do I really want to hunt down a 1960s pillow and gut it after 60 years? Also, no. So this is just gonna have to work for us. I don't think this is going to go well for me. You can see here where he's literally holding a very stiff hat and sewing with a very, very long thread. I do not advise using a thread that long. That stiffness to me, and the bend you can see here, I think that's velvet. So to give myself the best chance of making this happen, I am going to use this velvet edge down here to try and attach this too. Now, in the film, Max literally takes a whole bunch of stuffing out of the thing, hands it to the Grinch, he stuffs it on the hat, and then just starts sewing. So that's what we're gonna do. Fluff to velvet, and he just started sewing. I guess I'll do a running stitch, because I highly doubt the Grinch knows a whole bunch of fancy dancy stitches. All right, it is now on there. Happy little cloud. Woo, there goes the velvet. I guess technically this is plausible, but like, you sneeze too hard, you're going down Mount Crumpet. Like, I don't see that lasting well. You breathe on this and it's just gonna come apart. But I will say it's a very fluffy effect, which does align with the cartoon. But now the question really comes, can I actually make something that looks like it fits as well as the Grinch's coat from this stretch velveteen? Even though, let's be real, dolman sleeves are never gonna look as good and as tight as they do in the cartoon, so it's going to have to be a set-in sleeve. And my best bet is to use my Daphne pattern, because I just need this high neckline version so that I can make this sort of high neckline. So we're gonna go ahead and lay it on out in this very stretchy fabric, making sure that my stretch goes across my body, not up and down, so I can hopefully attempt to make a Grinch-ish coat, vaguely the way it looks like actually in the cartoon. And just like that, it's done. And yes, I will show you what it looks like on in just a moment. However, let's talk about this whole endeavor for just a moment, shall we? Because, one, I learned a whole lot. First thing I learned, while stretched velveteen is so nice and soft and lovely and probably gonna absolutely pill itself to death in about 4 washes, I don't like sewing with it. Whereas in cottons and other things, you can sort of hide the flaws. This shows every single one of them. Not my favorite. However, I will say that I need to start taking the darts out of this and stretchy material. Why is there a point? It looks so weird on here. It doesn't look as bad on me. Also, you might be going, Stephanie, wasn't that a dress length like a little bit ago? Yes, it was. Did I mean for it to be a dress length? No, that is correct. So what I did, because I think in a world of Grinch, I don't think that's a world I'm gonna play in. I just wanted to make this for funsies, but I'm also that person that's really practical about like making sure you can wear things and actually wear them again. So in here, it looks like there's stuffing in here, right? It's the bottom of the dress. Yeah, I rolled the dress, did a world's worst basting stitch to keep it in here. Oh, sorry, whip stitched it in there. Then did a running stitch here because this fabric shows every stitch line. So it will show some of the hand marks when I let it down, but it won't be as bad as if I would have put it under the sewing machine. So when I am done with this reveal, I will drop it. I will put the fluff down on the bottom where it belongs. I'll probably get my Christmassy tights on, and that will be this year's Christmas attire. Also, these sleeves. I should have made the ending wider because I did not account for the fluff here. And this thing, here, let me show you. It's so tight. Oh God. Also, neckline, while it does sort of do what his collar is doing here, it's not ideal to put a straight grain piece on a very curved neckline. So once again, I think that this is just for now. I don't think this is gonna stay because I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm gonna turn this into like a V-neck and then lay the fluff along there. Because I do like the fluff on the top, I just don't need it up to here. But either way, this has been a super fun little experiment, and I do hope, and I don't say this very often, that if you enjoy this type of content, please stick around. Subscribe, like, tell me your favorite Grinch moment in the comments. Because YouTube is doing what YouTube does best. It has shifted the algorithm. It denies shifting the algorithm, and no one sees my content. So, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hang it around for a little bit. I would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget that if you want to take home your very own C8 Nano electric scissors, that you can click the link down below in my description and use my code StephC8N to get a total of 43% off of your purchase. So let's head over to the final reveal as I almost run into the ironing board. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, I did finish sewing this monstrosity together, and let me show you exactly why this is not going to be in the reveal. I physically can't get into it because the sleeves are too small. This is why this did not work. Gravity-defying fabric cannot be real and put on bodies. Oh God. Pin on the, push pin on the ground. Thankfully those are easier to see. He just like stabbed his shears right through. That's not how this works, bro. Oh God, don't cut both layers. This is comically did not work. Oh God, don't die on the tile. Jump scare, I cut my hair last night.